Hi YouTube, how are you doing? I am doing wonderful. I'm taking some time here to just chat with you for a while. I made a coconut cake that I'm going to put chocolate frosting on and then toast some more coconut and put it on top so it'll taste like, well, like a Mounds bar if you know what that is. So anyway, yeah, I just figured Doug's out splitting wood, not by hand, like not with an axe or anything, which we do around here, or, but with the wood splitter, you know. But yeah, we did a lot of that by hand. My sons did too, especially my oldest one. If they were frustrated, I'd like, go chop a couple chunks. Even in the middle of the winter, I had some in our woodshed, a different shed that we had at the time. I had some chunks in there that were sort of punk, meaning that most of the heat value was aged out of it because, the it would just turn mostly into ash. But they're good fire starters. But they're hard to split by hand. If you get one that's punk and it's got a little bit of moisture in it from sitting on the ground or something, your axe will literally bounce back. So I had to teach my kids how to not hurt themselves, but then they could just go take like a big chunk and chop some chunks off it. And really, it helps. I did something stupid one time. I was so upset. I didn't know what else to do in my life. I really didn't. I was outside. I took my baseball bat, which is a metal bat, and I went up to this like 300-year-old oak tree and went up and I smacked it. I thought, well, I'm not going to hurt the tree. Oh, it reverbed through my bones. I was not thinking. I wasn't thinking how bad I was actually going to hurt myself, and what the F was I thinking to try and smack one of the hardest trees on the planet. I don't know. That's what people do when they're traumatized and they aren't thinking right. They do not do the right things in their lives all the time. But no, my kids did not see it. They weren't around watching mom act mentally ill. Not at that moment. I did have my times where I screamed at them, and I did go get some help. I needed somebody to talk to, and I also got my kids some counseling too because, yeah, we needed the extra help in our lives at that time. There wasn't really anything they could do. I made a psychiatrist the head of 5 counties in our state, a government organization. I made this woman cry. I tried to bring the Masons into counseling, and they wouldn't come and talk as a family. They wanted to have rights to see my kids that are absolutely no blood of theirs. Not um distantly, yes, but not in a close connection. But yeah, long story. But anyway, so last night on Lady Babylon, there's two things that um I already told you what uh like a lot of people believe like the Masons are the same thing as Jewish, or that like that's Judaism for Masons. That really doesn't make any difference in the whole scenario of the whole thing. And the first Mason was female. Um okay, last night on Lady Babylon, the only writing that we have from Jesus. I'm not saying Christ, I am saying Jesus Christ is a bill of sale when he sold Thomas to the king and his brother in India. And that's documented. These are what they call the forbidden gospels that were taken out when certain scribes with little hats uh, decided what was going to be canonized and what wasn't. So we have that news for some people, what they were actually doing with the biochemistry of human beings and little kids, and um, actually, like what happened to me, selling little children and doing whatever they want with them. So, another thing that you're going to find out is, and there's documented proof, what is the Christian religion? What are they doing? And you will find out that there is a resurrection of the Mother Mary. And I've told you here on my channel. This is all documented, by the way, and these are the teachings, the things that the Masons, Mas, Sons know. They know all these things. Whether they're doing right in their lives, that's another thing. Did you know, and I'll get back to that topic, that in China and France is where Masonry should have ended, and the grail of that bloodline. What they tried to do was resurrect God through the female and male energies in people to keep control over that, and this hocus pocus witchcraft, um, Christianity, resurrecting the female is what they did to get the male energy here also and have control over that and everybody on this planet. I've been telling you that. They wanted to resurrect and have control over that energy. And it's exactly what they did. So I don't think they should have woke God up when he was sleeping. I think that was a really big mistake. But that's just my opinion, you know. Anyway, it's a little silly, but you know how silly really. So anyway, there was more I was going to talk about on that, and I'll get back to it. It is exciting that other people know what I have known, not just from being taught it, because I didn't have a choice. You know what? I was thinking, what about poor Adam and Eve? They never had a choice on who they wanted to be with, you know. It's like, oh, well, you might be kind of cute, but do I know you? No, you know. Uh, yeah, think about it. The first man and woman, and you know, think about this. God doesn't even have a birthday. How sad is that? Everybody else does. Or our great mother, she has no birthday. She just was made. No, she wasn't made out of the man. She was made out of his thoughts. What was made on this planet with genetic manipulation was a spiritual thing, chantings. Um, I even tell people like the the root of hallelujah is praising Lucifer. Amen. The root of that word is the end of mankind. It's supposed to be significant of a spiritual thing, but it is not the um, confirmation of the end of a sentence. That is not what it was meant for at all, you know? Yeah, anyway. I hope you're getting it. And right now I'm in the middle of the uh oh, blah blah blah. I'm in the middle of learning a Greek um class anyway. I'm in the middle of a class right now. I'm trying to slow my mind down enough to study when I'm supposed to be studying. So I was listening to that, and um I thought, okay, I just can't do it right now. This sometimes, you know, it's like this is a scenario. It's like beating up your child, then expecting them to clean their room, you know? I don't think that's probably gonna, I mean, they'll probably do it because they don't want to get beat up again. But the physical nature of it all and the strenuousness, is that a word? Of it all. It's like too much for, I'm kind of feeling not overwhelmed, but it's like a too much right now. But so I need to kind of calm down. My adrenaline's going crazy. I didn't exercise yet today because um I didn't want to be that hyper when I got on here. I'm already bouncing off the walls inside myself today. So I don't need any extra help with that. But it is true, what I told you is true. It's not just the resurrection of Christ that they were waiting for. They were waiting to control the whole thing. Oh, that's what I was going to say. Getting back to China and France, yes, that masonry, that work of the resurrection and the bloodlines wasn't supposed to go any further. It was not supposed to come into the United States at all. Not ever. It, the head of those organizations forbade that back in, I do believe it was the 1400s, was the last two um, chapters of these lodges that were in China and France, and it was supposed to end there. And that information and that knowledge of what the actual Holy Grail being that bloodline um, that they kept track of was not supposed to be passed. That information and that practice of that resurrection was supposed to stop there, but they didn't stop it. They called themselves Freemasons and opened more organizations and avenues of these rituals and practices to keep people under submission, to keep their dominance of that knowledge and the actual crafts that they use on people to control us. They got quite the head start when you start doing things and planning things when somebody isn't even born yet, and through that multiplication of um, human biology, procreation, and mathematics is exactly how it was done. That's the science behind it. The um, like how many times did Christ was Christ born? How many times do you resurrect? You know what I mean? So I'm just asking. I don't know everything all the science behind it, but I have a very large grasp on the even germs inside our bodies that are used like ancient nanotechnology. It's all real. It's all forming within us with our thoughts and our practices, and yeah, it's all true. And it's deep. It's on every level. If I pick something up, might change the chemistry in my body. That's how technical all this is. You know, it's a science. So and people still gotta know that the male's still the male and the female's still the female. And what we connect with in our minds isn't coming from inside of ourselves. The other is coming from the outside in, you know. The only time, if you're a man, that you're a part of a woman is when you're in her womb. And not everybody, all mammals do not start out as female. I know they're going to push that science, they'll push it until they puke. And that's exactly what if you actually know what Christian rituals are, you would puke, you know. The normal person would. What you practice isn't what your heart isn't probably most likely most people I would say really don't have a deep understanding. It's there. That yuck feeling, it's there. You just don't know why it's there, you know? So anyway. So anyway, if your name isn't Jesus, I wouldn't be calling myself that if you have Christ in your heart. Don't emulate that name of Yahweh. Just don't do it because that's not how you benefit from the Christ Spirit. That's dark control that you put on yourself through the chanting and the mantras, talking about it, connecting with it. But believe what you want to believe. But I know God has never left my heart or the belief in Christ's resurrection because it is a total science. It's not seclusive to one entity, you know? It's not. I'm not saying that there isn't a Savior Christ. I'm just telling you that Jesus is not the name, which, you know, what's in a name? Well, if you're if you want to tell somebody thank you for a piece of cake, you're not going to grab it and go abracadabra. You're going to say thank you. You know, what's in a word? Everything. Would they want to bake you a cake again if you abracadabra them? Probably not. You know, it makes a difference. It does. The language and reaching into these texts that the people who say they're Christians but want to follow a form of Judaism or Zionism, and you don't really have a deep understanding of the religious practices that you're performing on yourself and others. Yes, language is everything. See, the Spirit of God and the Spirit of Christ are two different things. But the Spirit of God for sure does trump the Christ Spirit in every aspect. It's just a part of that Spirit of God, that of those seven parts, that is carried in, has always been the feminine part of a soul. It has nothing to do with a physical situation. It's the carrying of that knowledge through the human family of the feminine spirit in her soul is how you get in touch with mom and dad. There's actually a mom and dad in the situation. Imagine being the first woman and not having a clue what pregnancy was. You had no choice on who you were going to be with or the child that you were going to put forth. Like, you really had no example of an understanding of that. I'm just thinking she probably did, yeah. God probably talked to her. Who knows? Or how about poor Adam being told that she was taken out of his side? Well, if she was more spectacular than him, he might, it might make him feel better to think that a woman came out of a man's body using bone of some sort. But that's really illogical and unscientifically sound. It's called fucking impossible on this planet we call Earth, that is matter, and the human biology behind it. I wanted children, but I know I did not take a part of my bone to make that child. Some people believe in cloning. I'm telling you that coming through the seas, sitting on the waters, being a part of the sea, for Christ to come through the sea of people with that whole spirit, that whole understanding of everybody, because that male energy did not physically give birth or hold that seed. Has a spark of life to make that seed work on this planet. It is a two-part system. There's no demeaning that. And there's no demeaning the strength of God with the thoughts of the creation of the whole thing. I'm just telling you that you would not be here without a woman at all. And then you'd have to find one strong enough to put up with all the shit and take on that responsibility, which people are hardly responsible for anything. It doesn't seem to matter to most people if they really face up to any of their ill ways. They just smooth over it and go on, carry on. Sometimes you actually have to fix something you broke, you know. It's like if you break your kid's heart, wouldn't you want to try and fix it? I mean, I would, but wouldn't you? Like, say if you were a dad and you really, really, really hurt your child. You may not even meant to, but wouldn't you try and find some way to apologize to that child for that pain? Oh, yeah. A normal person would. It's like, here's another scenario. If you're one of my kids and you do something for me, I'm not going to say, well, not even say thank you, and then say, well, at least it's done, but your brother could have done it, so it doesn't matter that you did it because anybody could have done it. No, that kid actually took on that responsibility and got that job done. That wasn't anybody else. That was that kid. Some kids are just made for certain tasks on this planet, and that's who they are. And it's not to be diminished by anybody else because they didn't do that work, that child did. And a couple of you men out here know what I just said here is the absolute fact. So, couple, at least a couple, men or women. I think you just got what I said. So, it's like me talking in this video right now and expressing the truth of the whole thing that maybe only a few actually will get. I'm hoping everybody will. But nobody else is out here speaking these words. It's me. Now, if you would wish it was somebody else, um, you first off, you're not going to find that because they're not me. But if that's what you wish for, I wish that for you too, you know. Now, here's a scenario on that note. Let me think how I would word this. It's like my letter of divorcement for Doug. Um, he knows he can go get rid of me at any moment's time. Isn't that a good feeling? Wouldn't that be? I mean, um, we got married on Independence Day for a reason, spiritually, because we both know the other. Now, did I know the depth of dark magic? No, not really. Instinctively, yes, because I'm guided by God. So instinctively, I knew like some of my own, what I would call not supernatural, because supernatural, yeah, I guess it's super and it's natural, but magical, do you see what I mean? It's um, not something I had to practice when God would say, don't eat that, or touch this, or eat that, or do this. And I had no clue or reason in my mind. But later, with the science and the biology and looking at every component, like in that food and what happened, or what I drank, or something I touched, then I had the understanding of why I did something like, well, say if somebody gave me poison in something I ate, and I naturally found the antidote because God put that before me, you know. So, anyway, and who'd be willing to walk that closely, even if I thought something was a mistake, it's still with total innocence in my life, as I'm sure a lot of your ways are too, if you know what I'm saying. So, think there was something a little more I was going to try and explain on something there, but I don't know, maybe not. You know, it's true. It's wild. It sounds totally way out there, but it isn't. That's why the scriptures are a science book. It's a book of science and biology and yeah, mathematics. That's kind of secondary compared to the actual science of human biology. It's not cloning. It's a body that was nurtured through ages and bloodlines to become again. And these are the um, hidden ways of uh, coming through the sea of people. That's how Christ comes through the sea of people in the blood. The rituals and the rest of their stuff hasn't ended. And if you look at the fetal matter that's in a lot of the food and different things like sports drinks and different things, I mean, there's no reason why any chemistry on this planet should include any type of cannibalism. Right there, that should tell you that something's really up in this world. And what I'm telling you is true. It's not a joke. You can go online if you're interested. The company, I do believe, is like Zyatech. Look up, um, just a minute, I'll get the actual geoengineered food company corporations. Look who's incorporated in this science, and you can actually see the chemical patents on these things that use these ingredients that I'm talking about, like PepsiCo, Coke, Nestle, Lay's, Kraft, and they're all combined together, and they all have what I was speaking about, along with things that turn into plastics inside you, and oh, I mean, it's so nasty. And the level of chemistry, this alchemy that they're using against us in so many ways. This nothing I am telling you is fake. You can look it up for yourself. The corporation that made the chemical for the genetically modified foods have human in there, and there's no reason for it. It's a spiritual attack. What if it was you and every time somebody took a sip of coffee or a bite of salad or a steak and they knew they were taken away from your spirit with every sip? Cheers. Do you think that would do anything to you physically in the ether at all? If it was directed at you and millions of people were doing it? If you weren't protected, it would probably do an awful lot to you. And what I just told you is absolutely real. It's real. people do it with communion all the time and they don't even know what they're doing. It's sad. It's sad as hell. But even back when I did it, and once again, I have not stepped foot in a church for decades. You can't drag me in one. I considered it one time with a friend just for the fellowship, and even that fell short. Um, People that say they are of God. So, no, I always wanted to not make my own church, although I did want to put a chapel down at the end of my yard for people that they could come in a heated building with some food and clothes and maybe a blanket and, um, water, a restroom or whatever. Maybe not, or even out on the highway somewhere. That could be a problem. But I used to have dreams of having like a little chapel because my thoughts on what a church is isn't the same as other people's. So, even the day I was married, our altar was like pink roses under a tree I call my Trinity tree, and it was like the perfect altar. Well, I talk about a sacrifice, or Elton John, it's no sacrifice at all. Anyway, so I'll have one more cigarette with you and chat a little bit more. Yeah, I'm starting to kind of chill out. It's been a little bit of a busy morning, not terribly busy like yesterday. It was a early morning, super early, up at 5:30, and then busy to get a lot of things done. But yeah, I didn't get as much as I wanted to, but I got some. you know, I used to help split wood and even would go in the woods with a chainsaw and fall my own trees and load it up in the truck and bring it home and split it and get it in the house and make fires to stay warm. I don't do all that anymore. Um, a few years back, I just made the decision that I am no longer, unless it's absolutely needed, going to use my strength that is a little abnormal for men that don't give me credit for that strength that I worked really hard to maintain. So I thought, nah, I'm not wasting it because I don't need to be here. I can walk out of here anytime and make my life go around anywhere. So I don't need anybody or anybody's shit. I never did and I never will. But get this straight for somebody that doesn't know. The dark cabal people that have been doing things to little children are not going to get away with what they're doing. And there will be hell to pay for those children who have been hurt. Just for the record, you're not getting away scot-free with this. So if you want to associate yourself with millions of people that are helping enhance the witchcraft behind the enslavement of little people and worse, You really don't understand, or if you do, there will be hell to pay. You're not going to get away with it, and you will suffer for it, shouldn't you? It's like if you eat Lay's potato chips and you know full well that these things have aborted baby fetal cells in them, and um derogatives or not derogatives, let me see, there's a word for it, like extensions of that chemistry, and it may, or different elements of those cells that are used in other things to make other things in the science, all their science, what they're doing with all of that. And you're just going to remain self, what's the word? God dang it. Ignorant to it, like yourself, you're like at a stagnant, you're at a standstill. You're doing that to yourself, like intentional self ignorance. Those are the words I was searching for. If you're intentionally being ignorant, do I have to threaten you? Do you understand that your body is going to pay for that? That you will suffer with that deadness? It's not something you can just snap out of. You have to be aware of what's going inside you before you can function on a complete physical health scale. You know, speaking of health, for somebody that recommended I have some issues of taking like a sitz bath, yeah, I agree, I did. Um, right now, I gotta worry about getting gas in our gas tank. We have a certain amount to cook with, and showers are cool, but baths take too much gas right now in my life. I might, but I'd be pushing it in between what we can afford and what we can't right now. So, but anyway, yeah, excellent idea. I used to take baths all the time. It's just that, um, speaking of chemistry, it's really hard to keep clean around the practices of the dark cabal, and I have to be doubly careful. I mean, I can be, but there's a lot of things involved with what I do in my life. It's not like, oh, I just get up and everything's going to be a-okay and there's no worries, no stress, no hard work. No, it's not anything close to that. There isn't a day that goes by that this physical and spiritual science of the whole thing isn't on my mind. Not one day. There's not one day that I go by and don't feel the loneliness of God waiting for us to catch up on this science that he's placed before us. And if you're just going to be ignorant of the whole thing, the human race will suffer with this shit for I don't know how much more, because they refuse to go into the dark places. They've been so conditioned. Like even witchcraft, a lot of people look at it like just a joke. It's something to dress up like at Halloween or something like that, like the reality of it, or if they are into spiritual practices like that, um, not understanding where that energy comes from. You're so stupid. People like that, I just, the stupidity behind it. If you just did things naturally, there wouldn't have to be any hocus pocus bullshit. You'd just be living your life like an intelligent human being, and you could gather more science in your life than being stifled by the force of something that takes from you, and you would have that for yourself. But you, even people, normally, okay, they find out the church is shady. So what do? Oh, you throw God away and then just go full bore the other direction, or become um atheist or whatever, you know, because you can't find that happy medium. You don't believe or can't sense what had happened in the past to get us to the place that we're actually where we are right now. And a lot of people have worked very hard to get this information out to people. I mean, scouring letter by letter ancient texts that have never been uncovered before. That's pretty cool. I mean, of course, when it was written, they knew they were writing it. When the Gospels were written, they were there, but they were taken out. When you have things that are concerning rituals with little children and babies and the things that they did in ancient Christianity, and all their rituals and thoughts and that type of thing, those practices are still there. Do you think it's a joke? You think it's just a metaphor? You're actually practicing rituals for the dark force against your own self. Either way you go, unless it's just you and the Most High and that understanding, you're being tricked. If you don't have that connection, that's what Christ teaches you, to seek the face of God. He doesn't say, praise me. Oh, he said he was God, but he's the Son of God. There are sons of God. The intention is to get you to be able to talk and be knowledgeable of God, with God, not to become God. You know, I hope someday, yes, that my children would have children, not become me so they could have children, but to actually have their own with that example, you know? So, well, I'm going to get this uploaded. I do appreciate you joining me. I hope there's some value here. If a thumbs up or a share, or if you think I'm crazy, you don't belong here. And I don't like calling people stupid, but it makes me fucking sick. And I've put decades of work into this. And if you don't appreciate that, you can just go fly a kite. Then you really aren't worthy of being a close enough friend to me to actually give a shit about anything but yourself. And I would call you lazy and stupid and ignorant. Sickening too. So hope you love me bunches, because I really do love everybody bunches. It's super frustrating. Um, like I said, how about come to think of it, God really didn't give Adam and Eve any kind of choice whether to be here or not. But maybe they're happy they are. Who knows, right? So, I don't know. All right. I'll probably be back tomorrow. Maybe, maybe not. Not sure. Depends on how many irons I have in the fire. So, peace and love from Pine City, Minnesota, USA. Have a good night or day wherever you're at.